when I choose books over food, that means a lot because I love eating. Hey everyone, it's Alex on the block and I'm back with a sit-down video. You may be thinking, Alex, you've been on Twitter and you've said quite a few times that you haven't read a book this June. So what are you doing with a wrap-up video? And my answer is, these are books that I've read last month. So yes, these are the books that I've read in May, just because I haven't read in June, so I can't really talk about any books that I've read in June. So we'll just make this quick and easy. And as I'm saying this, I already know that I'm going to be rambling and just saying unnecessary stuff and making this whole video 30 minutes long and making my editing self want to kill this video self for rambling on and on and on. Again, I have my star head thing that I plan on just wearing every time I have a wrap-up video, just because stars, and yes, we rate using stars, which is weird. Can't we just rate using hearts, triangles? What is it with stars? So today I'll be talking about 5 books out of the 24 books that I've read in May. So these 5 books are the best of them, the best of the 24 books that I've read in May. And yes, of course I'm still going to be telling you what the other books are, but I'm just going to be explaining those top 5 books. So yes, so we'll just do it in chronological order of when I read it. So the first book is I Love You So Muchy, and it's just the cutest freaking book. I read it as an audiobook, so I read an audiobook on Scribd, and it's just so freaking cute and so good. So it's basically about this girl, Kimmy, I think that's her name, Kimmy, who has this kind of like identity crisis, dream crisis type of situation wherein she really doesn't know what she wants to pursue in the future. So she's battling with what her life has led to and what she really wants to do with her life. So essentially, Kimmy is a painter. She's a great one. Her mother is a painter, a great painter as well. And so as like a lot of Asian families go, what your parents' occupation is kind of like you're expected to be that too, a little bit. Yes, it's very common here in Asia. I've had a lot of classmates whose parents were doctors and their whole family, they just pursue medicine. Some kids, their parents are artists, like musicians, painters, and they end up being painters too. And engineers, yes. Asians love pursuing engineering, which is fine, but it's just like a common thing here. Yes, it's common in Asia. So hello, editing Alex here, and I just want to say that it's not a bad thing if you want to be like your parents, but I'm just saying that it's like very common, and that's why it's not surprising for Kimmy to be faced with that problem as well. Okay, bye. That's very on brand for Kimmy to be faced with this challenge in her life. So then her mother discovers that she hasn't been attending her art class, so she decides to go to Kyoto, where her grandparents are, her estranged grandparents are, and there she meets this boy, freaking Akira, is that his name? And oh my god, he's a medicine student. Oh no, he wants to pursue medicine in the future. So yes, so good. And Akira, when she first meets Akira, he's dressed as a freaking mochi, and isn't that so cute? Like, also all her travels, because obviously she's been going to touristy places in Kyoto, and it's just so so fun to read. It's like going to Kyoto, especially now we're in quarantine. I read this while we're in quarantine and we're still in quarantine, so it's just like it's like an imaginary travel that you've planned but never really got into because of coronavirus. So yes, give this 5 out of 5 stars. Of course, so good. I love it. I love it too. And then the next one is the Tokyo Zodiac mergers. And then the next one is the Tokyo Zodiac Murders by Soji Shimada. Am I correct? Yes, by Soji Shimada. And this is a translated work, so its original work is in Japanese and this is the translated version in English. And it's just so good. Like, it's basically about this eccentric artist who died. Basically, he was killed, and then his daughter was killed as well, and then the other daughters and the niece, I think, is it his niece? But yeah, he lives with like 6 women, and all of these women were killed as well. They were chopped up, their bodies were chopped up, and the premise is that there's this note wherein this artist expresses his intent to make Azoth, or like this supreme woman. So basically, he's going to cut pieces of the women that he lives with, so his family, basically. He's going to chop them up and get certain body parts from them, and then he's going to assemble them to make Azoth, so the supreme woman. But then, obviously, he died. So how would he make Azoth if he was already dead? So yes, it's been years and years and years of people trying to solve this murder, and then here comes like this guy who is friends with an astrologer slash fortune teller slash detective, and they try to solve this string of murders, like who literally killed all of them. It's so good. Like, the mathematics and the scientific aspect of it is so good. You wouldn't even think, I mean, kind of, you would think that that person is a killer, but like, I swear, whew, it's so good. And you're going to literally like think and just wonder how the freak that happened. Like, whoa. Actually, after reading this book, I wanted to read more books of Soji Shimada, but obviously they were in Japanese and there were only a few translated works. So yes, I still have to get through all of those because honestly, his work is magnificent. It's phenomenal. It's so good. And then the next book is another cutesy romance thingy. This list comprises of cutesy things and like borderline super gross things. Books, I mean. And I don't know what that says about me. Anyway, so this book is tweet cute and it's about Jack and Pepper. Oh, so cute. I also read this. Wait, did I read this in audiobook? Yes, I did also read this in audiobook form, and oh my god, it's like the cutest story ever. So Pepper, basically at the start, she kind of hates Jack a little bit. So it's kind of like an enemies to lovers, but not really. So essentially, Jack belongs to a family of a burger shop owner, like a diner. Yeah, they are diner owners. So this diner is like has been part of the community for so long. It's like a family business type of deal. And then Pepper, on the other hand, belongs to a family who owns this like huge franchise business of still burgers. And then something happens wherein this big franchise, so Pepper's family's business, comes up with this burger that is the exact replica of Jack's family's burger. So they get into this Twitter war and like whose burger is the best. It's just so good. And it also follows them in this like anonymous site that Jack created, and they're actually like real good friends in there, and they're kind of like flirting in that platform. So it's so funny when they just get into these banters in real life, but then in that platform they're actually really good friends. And it's just such a cute story. I gave it 5 stars as well. Whoa. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's only 4 stars. But the kilig aspect, what is kilig in English? I don't know. But yes, the kilig aspect, like the heart, the fluttering, the warm feeling you feel in your chest. Basically, that's kilig. Maybe. So I googled it, and these are the definitions. Feel free to use this word because it's awesome. It's an awesome word. So good if you want like a light contemporary that is so funny and still so good and still super kilig. Definitely read Tweet Cute. And then the next one is Blood Air, which I didn't really give it 5 stars, but if I only counted like the first half of it, it would be 5 stars. It slowly descended into mediocrity, which is such a shame because I loved it. I loved the first part of it. It was so good, like the world, the powers in it. I wouldn't really call it unique, but it was different. It brought about a different direction. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it was different. It's not like just a very meh fantasy. Like the premise is super good, but the delivery at the end part is just it went from super badass into like super cheesy. That's not really appropriate for the story. It's just so bad. The end parts, I did really like the story as a whole, but like the end parts, just no, please, no. If there's a second book, please, the author, please salvage it, because I actually really do love it. The characters were so badass in the first part, but then just went downhill from there. And I still gave it 4 stars because I really did love it. That's how much I loved it. It was salvaged by the first part of the story. And then the last of my top 5 books is actually a manga, a horror manga, and it is Uzumaki. The 3 volumes of Uzumaki. Oh my god. That has to be one of the grossest books that I've ever read, but it's also one of the best books that I've ever read, which I still don't know what that means about me, but I loved it. So easy. I actually showed it to my guy friend and I told him to read it as well, and he looked at the pictures and he low-key judged me for it. I told him it was so good, and I read the first volume. Like, if you don't know what means, it means super fast. I loved it. I loved every single volume of it. I read it all in one freaking day. That's how much I loved it. It's so gross that I actually couldn't eat while I was reading it. Like, I tried to eat while I was reading it because I was hungry, but I can't. Like, literally I can't, but I still read it. Oh my god. When I choose books over food, that means a lot because I love eating, and if I delay eating for a book, best believe that book is really good, because I'm telling you, so good. So basically, it doesn't make sense. For me, the book just doesn't make sense, but it's so freaking good. So it's essentially about this town that is plagued by spirals, like the shape spiral, and it starts with, so I think kind of like the protagonist of the story is this girl and her boyfriend. Is it her? Yeah, I think it's her boyfriend. Yeah, them. And then the guy's father is the first one to be kind of like contaminated or poisoned by the spiral, and he became obsessed with spirals, like everything spiral. And then one day his wife threw away his spiral collection, and did you know what he did? He bought this huge vat, like huge wooden circle, and he freaking made a spiral out of himself. Like, bro, he died because he literally bent his whole body into a spiral inside the thingy. Like, he went like this, his body. Bro. What? And that's not even like the worst of it. That's like pretty mild. That's in volume 1. My favorite is volume 2. And let me tell you, oh my god. So my favorite thing about volume 2 is that it starts. Did it start? Yeah, I think it started with like this zombie thing that had what do you call that? Like a metal ring, a spring. Yes. This body had a spring inside and it just jumped at them. Like, what? Actually, that's not the part that I love the most about volume 2. What I loved the most about volume 2 was when their classmates became snails. Bro, they freaking became snails. Oh my god. So there's this one classmate who is like super slow, like sluggish, like he's like just moves super slow, and then he just goes to school when it's rainy, which to me is like, if you have a classmate like that, wouldn't you be weirded out? Anyway, so then this classmate gradually became slower and slower, and obviously he's like that, so of course there's like a bully who steps up and just makes fun of him for everything, his whole self. And then this other guy becomes a snail as well. I'm actually getting goosebumps. So they both became snails, and then for some reason this school decided to make like a cage, so you literally can look at them through, like, because it's just like a cage, like with the thingy, the metal thingy that's like this shapes, you'll know what I mean. And then one day they had sex as snails. Like, bro, yesterday I went outside to buy cat food and I saw a snail, and I kid you not, I was terrified. Uzumaki just destroyed snails for me. I didn't like snails before, but now I'm terrified of them. Like, if I see a freaking snail, that's the first thought in my mind. That's her classmate. Where's the other one? Where are their babies? So yes, those were the 5 books that I absolutely loved in May, and it's just super good. Like, I loved a lot of books that I read in May. I read 24. I'm bound to like a lot of them. So the other books that I read are Clockwork Angel. That's a reread. I talk about this a lot in my videos, how I never finished the Infernal Devices, and let me tell you, I still haven't finished it. I still haven't started book 2. Yes, let's ignore. And then the next book is Spring Garden, which I talked about in another video, reading books that I've never heard of before. So good, still so good. I rated that 3.5 stars. And then I read Miss I Sandwich, rated it 4 stars also in that video where I read books that I've never read before. And then The Devouring Grey, 4.7. 4.7. I read it on audiobook. It's good. I liked it. Yes. Then the next is a reread of The Elite because I was supposed to read the selection series in like 24 hours, and then I got lazy, so I just finished The Elite. And then The Wicked Fox. I love this, but I didn't include this in my top 5 just because I don't know. It's not up to par to the other 5, if you know what I mean. I still loved it. It's like a K-drama. It's basically about this girl who is a gumiho, and then she becomes friends with this human boy, and there's a lot of conflict, and yes. And then the next is Permanent Record, which I thought I would love, but I ended up hating. Like, I hated it. It was kind of a DNF, but not really, because at that point, at like some point, I just wanted to not read it, but I wanted to know what would happen to the characters. Like, I needed that closure because I did get attached to them a little bit, but not that much that I would like to continue reading everything and just torturing myself with it. So yes, I did read it until the end, like a very quick swipe. And then I read a lot of Nancy Drew books. I read 7 Nancy Drew books. I read 7 Nancy Drew books because I love Nancy Drew. And then my favorite out of all the Nancy Drew books that I've read in May is, what's this? The Mystery in Magnolia Mansion. Yes, that's my favorite among all of them. And then I also read Coraline, like the book version of the movie Coraline, which I really didn't like as a kid. My cousin loved it. She loves that movie, but I'm okay with it. So I was just also okay with the book. The book is much creepier than the movie, in my opinion. It's still good. I still liked it, but I only gave it 3.5 stars. And then I also read Sadie, which a lot of people have been gushing about. They've been raving about this book, and honestly, it was just okay for me. It was definitely a hard book to read because it tackles a lot of issues with the character and the people around her. I did like it, but I didn't love it. I gave it 3.8 stars, so obviously I liked it more than Coraline. Oh yeah, and then I read The Great Gatsby, which I have here. I read The Great Gatsby. I read it in high school. That's why I have this thingy over here. I read it in 3rd year high school, and I remember I did love it. And it's just super short, so I read it again. And then I was surprised that I highlighted one part which is very relevant in this time. And see, I'm not joking. I did highlight it in high school. Very intellectual. I didn't highlight any other thing. This is the only highlight that I did for this whole book. I don't know why. So this is the quote. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. Yes, privilege has been talked about these past few years, and still a lot of people don't get how important it is to recognize your own privilege. it's very important to recognize our privileges, and it's also important to do something with your privilege. Like, don't just stand there and enjoy everything, every right that you are blessed to have. Do something about it. Help people, help spread awareness. Just do something about it. So anyway, I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below for more videos like this. I also do videos on productivity and just journaling and basically everything that I enjoy. So yes.